All right, here we go. Que Gambino, how are you doing today, man?
What's up? What's up, man? I'm feeling good, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming by to like the Lens of Yashu, and for me, for you telling your story like before to me, just like before we actually like linked up with this, and I've been listening to the music. It's been very dope so far, with project to project, and even with your latest project too, like for the Dreamers, it's pretty good, with the lyrics, with the storylines, the flows, with the production and everything like that too, So yeah.
Thank you, thank you. The goal is just to pretty much just give the fans pretty much. I want the fans to have the vision of what I see. You know what I mean? Like on a regular basis, and I try to bring them into my life, my world, and to even some tell their story. So that's kind of I guess the biggest obstacle is trying to tell everybody's story. But I feel like it gets easier the more you grow and the more you find ways to tell it.
I know what you mean. And just to start off with who you are as like an artist, like I know that you're a rapper, but you're also an entrepreneur, your beverage brand as well. But before we get into that, let's talk about you like beginning wise from the beginning years. So you grew up in Brooklyn's Bushwick, right?
Yeah, Borinquen Projects, Bushwick, part of Brooklyn.
True, true. And like, what was like living there growing up? Would you say that it was like kind of like a good experience, or would you say that it's like totally different? Would you say that it would be like totally different in a sense?
Um, I would say good and bad, at least for my learning experience. The good part is it actually sound crazy, but you get to see like the harsh realities of life. You know what I mean? You get to see the people who pretty much felt comfortable with being at the bottom, people who took losses and didn't bounce back from them, and just really like people who feel like their life is pretty much at the end. You know what I mean? And the bad part, of course, we just is growing up in them environments where you kind of feel like every day is your last. You know what I mean? And just every option is a last option for you. You know what I mean? Like every option has to work because there's really no option of success for us. You know what I mean? We don't have like role models. You know what I'm saying? Like our role models was drug dealers and stuff. So our viewpoints is a little bit different.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. And just like even like in Brooklyn too, it's like a very like different environment with the music, the culture, with the gentrification and everything that was going on now until back then, like earlier on, like in the '90s, where it's like a very like different vibe too. So like even just like within that aspect, like Brooklyn has like changed a lot, like even like Bushwick too, from what you've experienced in a sense.
It definitely has changed. I say environment has changed, but the people hasn't changed. You know what I mean? So like you could change the outside of our projects, which is how they're gentrifying our communities, which is dope. Like I love the idea, I love the change that's coming, but the change is still in those small communities that need the help. You know what I mean? We can't change the buildings and expect to really do something without actually fixing the problem.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like just to even like speak more on like the music side of Bushwick, because with Bushwick there were like certain people like that might have been there, like in the rap and like music wise. I think from what I've noticed, I think Smith and Weston, they used to be there for a bit too, and then like a lot of people were mainly from like Bed-Stuy or like Canarsie. So was there ever like any like inspiration from Bushwick that made you want to pursue more in the music scene, not only like in Bushwick, but like in Brooklyn and like in New York as well?
I mean, well, yeah. See, my pops grew up in Bed-Stuy, and my mom's from the Bushwick side, so I got pretty much a little bit best of both worlds. So of course, I had the inspiration of the whole, the Biggie Smalls, things to that nature. But more so, it was just really wanting to have a different way out. That was the biggest thing. Like I love music, of course, but I really felt like nobody was really telling our story. And that was the biggest thing. Like just pretty much trying to motivate people to really, to understand that people really live like how others live. And if we can make it out, y'all can make it out. You know what I mean? That's kind of the mind frame I had with my music, of course. I always try to just motivate and just try to tell people like, I come from where you come from. If I could do it, you could do it. you know.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. And like even with Brooklyn right now, and like even in New York as a whole, it has changed musically, like especially in the whole like rap hip hop scene for like many years. Like right now, you have a lot of like big artists that made it who've either like passed away or either who have became like bigger, like even within certain scenes, like with Pop Smoke, rest in peace, to like A Boogie, Designer, who else? Like 22 G's, Chef G, Sleepy Hollow, Fivio, like Foreign, Cardi B, Dream Doll, like you can name the rest too, like even like Joey Badass and like Flatbush Zombies and like Bishop, like Nauru for a bit too. But like like even within like Brooklyn and in New York in general, what are your thoughts on the music scene like in New York in general? And do you feel that there should be like any improvements for like the scene there?
I love it, man. Honestly, I love the New York scene because it's so diverse. You know, it's a different change, and because people are so used to New York sounding like New York, so I feel like we're growing more as a whole. You know, but you still have your different sets like your Dave East, your Young and Maze. It's still so many different forms, but I just love how Brooklyn is just moving, and it seems like we're together, you know what I mean, pushing the New York movement, trying to bring New York back to the pioneer. We know we're the pioneer of hip hop, but we're trying to be the face front now. As you can tell, Atlanta, even Memphis, they're definitely pushing forward. So we're just trying to get back to, what we do.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I didn't really like ask this, but are you like biracial in a sense too, like with your background? Or like are you like 100 like percent like black in a sense?
Now I'm 50-50, so I'm Puerto Rican and Black.
Oh, true. So like even like in discussion with like race in general too, so like being like multi-ethnic or like bi-ethnic in a sense, like black and Puerto Rican, do you feel like in New York it's very like simple for you, like in a sense, to just like dealing with certain people, like dealing with racial identities and such like that? Or would you say that it's like completely different? Like do you feel like that sense of either you're not fully this in one side, or you're either this or either you're that in that sense?
No, I feel like we're all one. You know what I mean? Because the main thing is we all come from the struggle. You know what I mean? Whether you black, white, brown, however it breaks down. But if you come from the struggle, that right there, let alone like that lets you know we're the same. You know what I mean? Of course there is some more diversity the more you grow, but I feel like the story that I'm trying to tell, we all won. You know?
No doubt, no doubt. And just getting more into like the music aspect part in a sense too. So growing up, what was like your musical history and background like, and what inspired you to become a rapper and a musician in a sense?
My pops was like a big 90s fan. He loved Pac, he loved Big, he loved Jay Pun. Like he used to have posters on the door of like their albums, and hip hop was real influential in my household. And then pretty much with him, like just going through, just hearing the records, and him he used to break down like little bars or lines and the topics, and just seeing how deep the actual music is. It definitely is like a home feel with it. Like I have a passion for music. Like I love it to the grave. But just seeing how the 90s was, and just seeing how real it felt. I feel like our generational music today, that's one thing that I feel like it loses the value of, just being authentic. And that's a big problem in hip hop, because a lot of artists pretty much just they see the picture that gets you into the game, and then they just follow it, as opposed to just being themselves and telling their own story.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And even like within the sense of music too, like there's like many influences and like many like genres that usually come out like within like that sense of hip hop, within that sense of rap too. Like there are like other subgenres and like other like subcultures as well from many artists that have been developed out of like the state of hip hop. And just getting into your influences and like the genres that you were in, what artists or genres like were you mainly like influenced in, you know, in the makings, Que Gambino, and like in the future, who would you like to collaborate with someday in a sense?
Um, wow. Well, one of my, I actually like Sanfa. I don't know if you pretty sure you're aware of Sanfa. Sanfa's
Yeah,
like
no, yeah.
super dope. That's definitely one true like artist that I would like love to work with. But in a sense, man, I love music as a whole, you know, from the old school to the new school, even if it's not even rap, hip hop, R&B, you know, funk, pop, like just the whole thought of someone telling their story behind their music and just feeling the actual realness in the records, like is wonderful, at least for me, you know.
No doubt too. So as far as like at the collabs, like I know like you've worked with like Kid before, and you know, you were like mainly in deep with like the whole like No Limit scene as well too. But like, do you have like any other like collaborations in mind? Like, if you were to like work with someone one day, like who'd you work with?
Um, I really like to work with like people who like I'm a fan of, you know. So my like more dream collabs be like the Jay-Z, Lauryn Hill, J. Cole. I feel like the ones that like a price can't really get you their feature. They gotta generally want to do the record. Um, but as far as New York, like I do want to have more features with like New York artists. Maybe like a 22 G's, a Chef G. That's definitely in the mix of coming forward. Or even Dave East is another one on my list too. So as far as New York, I'm definitely want to get more of the home feel on these big records. So
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I know like before we get into like the music part too, I want to like discuss, you know, with your beverage brand, like in a sense too. And you also like have your own label. Speaking more about, you know, creating, you know, your own label and, you know, your beverage line, you know, Beano's. So tell me the history and inspiration on both of those ventures, and how is the turnout so far with either one, you know?
yeah, I mean, so as far as the label wise, I think back when I started, the mind frame was just let's try to get signed, let's try to get signed, you know, and then slowly as you pretty much knocking on doors and doors close, it starts to hit me like, well, man, we could do this on our own. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a harder road. Is you know, it's gonna be longer, but the mind frame, like if we could do this, we don't need nobody, then we could actually do it ourselves. And we just been running, you know what I mean? Like you know, right now we on our first tour, you know what I'm saying? So we learning as we go, but we pretty much hitting steps every way, you know what I mean? Like and like Nip will say, you know what I mean, it's a marathon, you know what I mean? And we not in a rush, we just timing and we just keep going, you know what I mean, learning as we go. And then with the drinks, it was just something I wanted something different. You know, I know artists always do the clothes. They always try to do things that's pretty much within the artist things to do. And you know, I was just thinking like, man, let's just jump out the box for once. You know, and we just laughing, joking around like we should get our own drink. You know what I mean? Knowing how much we love lemonade or you know the sweet teas and stuff, and actually doing it and actually finding a way to do it, and then just the response. Like, I started off with like 10 cases and we sold out within 15, 20 hours right there. You know what I mean? And then just seeing like, oh shit, this is like something, you know, getting it into the stores in Brooklyn, which was also incredible. And just seeing the love that we getting, you know, so it's cool, man. If y'all know, Beano's is out now. We got like 4 locations. Check it out. You know what I'm saying? We in them spots. So
True, true. And like, what are like the flavors or like types of drinks that you have like for Beano's right now?
yeah.
If you want to share.
Yeah, right now we got a lemonade, which I'm drinking right now. I actually love it. I feel like we got the best lemonade out right now. And then I got a lemon iced tea. My man, my cameraman Los, he loves sweet tea. So, you know what I mean? He gave me the green light. He was like, yo, that's fire. We need it. And it's been going crazy. We're gonna get 3 more flavors in by the summer. And then we're gonna bring candy through. You know what I mean? We just got a whole different direction with what we're doing. You
Yeah,
know,
no.
so I'm gonna send you some too. We're gonna talk about it after. I'm gonna send you
Yeah.
out some. I'll try it.
Yeah, no worries, man. And you can only get these in like in Brooklyn, right? Like nowhere else? Or have you ever had plans on moving like the units to like other like locations or even like international, you know?
Yeah, we right now we're talking in LA. We're trying to get them in LA. Brooklyn we have them, but we also ship it. Like I have a website for them. Muddy Malt Beverages, .bigcartel.com. You could definitely order, and we shipping out everywhere. But we just going at a time. But we definitely gonna have them in them other markets. You know what I mean? We looking forward to it.
All right, that's dope. And you could get these like on the website. So like hopefully I'll post the link on the website in the description on when the YouTube video is posted. So we'll definitely get people to get interested in buying those.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right. So getting back into the music part too. So you've released a variety of projects, way before for the Dreamers. So like Bino's World, Cali's Dream, like Value of a Dreamer, and everything else like in between. So just speaking about like a lot of those projects, in their entirety, tell me about like the creative like processes for all these projects and what inspired you to like even like make these projects in a sense.
But the biggest thing for me it just be how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Whether it could be like I just lost one of my mans, or we just got certain things going on, or just seeing how even people that's in my regular day-to-day lives, just seeing the struggles that they're dealing with. And that's pretty much the thing for me. Is just like, all right, this is something that people need to hear, or I know this is what other people are going through. And the big thing for me really is when we move around city to city, just actually getting to touch the people and vibe with them and get that feel from them. Like, it's a true, like, just inspiration, you know what I mean? Because you feel them connect with you, especially when we out performing. And when we bring it to the projects, man, it be so pretty much, we just be locked in, you know what I mean? I like to have Los with me, AMN Days, who's another artist. Like, we be so locked in with each other, just making sure that, we telling the right story, we painting the perfect picture, and then we just knocking them out. But we really we keep working, honestly. So we'll pretty much just work every day, work. And then we pretty much break from there, how we're going to do things, what we want to do, and what we want to talk about.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And, like just like listening to each project too, like it has like that, like whole like 90s, early 2000s sound, like even like within that sense of that whole 2010s, like New York type sound that I actually like really liked, kind of like missed for a bit too. And like even in that sense too, it has like made a comeback in some aspects too, like whether it's like Griselda or whether it's Dave East, but like it's shifting now to like a whole different like trap sound too. And like with the drill and with the melodic trap going on too. So how do you like feel like within that discourse too, like with people saying, that whole drill or like even like those aspects, are not like the typical like New York sound in that sense too? Or would you say like it would be like quite different?
I mean, I feel like culture-wise, we all take from each other. You know what I mean? It's just a normal thing to do. If something is working, we see it working, we find a way to put it in our own sense. Every artist pretty much does that. But the thing I feel like with New York, well, even like the Griselda, like you mentioned, the Davies, I feel like when those artists come out with their sound and resonate where they're from, they're actually building careers, and I feel like a lot of artists just play into the position of it as far as like what the industry is looking for, and they follow it, but they don't get careers out of that. You probably get a record or 2 years, you gone, but actually having a real fan base that's really being out there, in the rain to go and see you is a different bond. You know what I mean? So I always respect the artists who are actually sounding like themselves, or who are actually building their platform as opposed to chasing the wave.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And just to get on with these like other like questions too. So aside, like just to talk about like for the Dreamers too, was the creative like process and the inspiration similar to the other projects you had, or was it like a completely like different like vibe in that sense?
It was a little different because so I'm working on an album along with Bino, but I want this album to be so perfect that I really want to take time and put all energy into it. But I ain't want to shorten the fan. So I'm like, I got to give out something that, a nice little EP, and just to give them a preview of what's going to come with the album. So when we drop for the Dreamers and just seeing the response going crazy, it felt good. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I know when the album dropped, like I can't wait until I really get the full view of it. But The EP part, it was just a little different. Just pretty much just grabbing tracks together and put them, just a little set like that. Normally when we do the album, I like to fully lock in from like the beginning to the end. I want to make sure the story is clear, the road is up and down, and it's just a natural feel. But with the EP, I was just like, all right, let's just put something out for the fans, because I know they're waiting.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And just to get by with these like last two questions. So recently, with DMX passing away, as well, like even just hours ago, it was confirmed that bad
Black
boy
Rob.
artists like Black Rob passed away too. So regarding like those two deaths, like in that sense too, has it like impacted you in a way too? And how did you feel like when they like passed away? Like were they sort of like big in when you were growing up, like listening to them in that sense too, or was it like totally different?
Yeah, definitely. X was, X was like I love X actually. Like I'm a big X fan. I actually got him in my top 10. And it was because the music that X was putting out was just so authentic. You know what I mean? It was just so real. Whether it was some real robbery type inspiration or even just the motivation behind records like slipping and falling. And what I mean? It's deep when you actually feel that close with an artist through the music. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that the rap game pretty much misses now, minus the J. Cole's, the Kendricks. Those artists are always going to stand out when they actually have that authenticity with their fan base. So X was definitely like a hard loss for the community. But my only issue is I feel like we're not giving artists their flowers when they're here. Like it's great seeing people play X, crazy all over the world. The streaming numbers is going up, but X has had those records for years. You know what I mean? Like X has been X for years. So to see people playing them now, like, love him, but like it's cool, but we gotta do these things while they're still here.
And I mean, just to share my opinion on like both of them too. With Black Rob, I didn't really know him as much too, like aside from like that hit single, and his affiliation with Bad Boy 2. But like even like with those situations too, like with X, with Black Rob, you have to give like where it's due, like either both of them too. And I was also glad that DMX was also alive, within all eras too, because not only was he alive like during the 90s, but he was alive like in like the 2000s era, like 2000 to 2010, and then like from the 2010s to 2020s, so at least he had a long-lived like memory that he could share and experience. Like he has experienced all like sides of the world and like all different like eras as well. So we have to also like really appreciate that he grew within certain aspects too. And even with addiction, with everything else going on too, like it's always cool to check up on like people, like if they're down on the luck and everything like that too, because I think those were the two reasons why X and Black Rob didn't live as like long as they should, because in that sense too, no one was really checking on them like that unless it was like for a profit or for anything else too. So even in that sense too, like making sure that like, hey, if you're good, like, hey, if you're straight, like if you need money or if you need like advice or like any guidance too, like I'm down, and that should have been like the most important thing, with our artists too, like even because we need to see them like live longer, like we need to make sure that they live longer than they should, but in either circumstance, tomorrow is never promised, so.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think it comes down to sometimes not to say X's circle wasn't right, but it really comes down to your circle. Like I got Los and Days around me, and anything, that is out of my normal, they're gonna let me know, or if I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, or if I'm slipping, you gotta have people around you that, yo, that's not right. I mean, falling like, and it's good to have those people around you, especially circumstances like that. Not saying he didn't, but just sometimes, you really need those people around you to keep you grounded.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And just to end off like the interview, usually I ask this like with any person that I have on the platform. So what are your plans for this year in terms of any other music, like aside from your album, or like any other creative projects aside from like the ventures or so forth? And do you have like any final words you would like to say for any creative or any person like pursuing their dreams in that sense?
Definitely. I mean, we just pretty much working. We about to, Lowe's about to wrap up a film, so we about to jump into Low filming and street projects and just pretty much doing different things to build up our brand. The Double M brand, and just make it what we want, what we see it as. And as far as like for people coming up, artists or just people in general, man, like go out and get whatever it is that you're after. You know what I mean? Like, don't wait around, man. Nothing's gonna come to you. You gotta go and get it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm from the bottom. You know what I mean? I know how I feel when your back is to the wall, man. And sometimes you just gotta fight. You know what I mean? And it's a hard fight, but we just gotta keep pushing. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.